speaker will be Regina Imbergia.
Good morning, Mayor. I'm Regina Imbergia, and I live in District 14. And I'd like to say, I noticed, Mayor, that you have announced that you're running for office again for re-election. So you'll be on the ballot with all the other council members, and that's May 6th. So I think there's something else that needs to be on the ballot that day, and that is for the people to choose whether they want to continue fluoridation or not. The people never had a choice in that. And today I was surprised that somebody still thinks that the people chose this back in the 60s. It was the council that made the choice to start fluoridation. The facts are all there. The city secretary's office can tell you all about it. And now, for 10 years, we have been coming and bringing information to show the council that that was a big mistake, that it's wrong, and it needs to stop. 8 on the council can stop it, or 5 can bring it as an agenda item, and then the council can vote for 8 to put it on the ballot. Okay, so we don't believe we're going to get 8 to stop it. So we really need to push to get this on the ballot. So, Mayor, I think you should lead the charge. I really do, or the city manager, because you guys can just put it on the ballot. And the reason I would think about that is because you're running for re-election. And I think the person who's going to run against you might find it interesting that you are trying to do away with the public open mic. And I don't think it would be a good slogan for them, for your sake, if it would say, the mayor wants to eliminate open mic because then we don't need to follow the law, the rules of open mic. And this was said in the briefing meeting on October 19th. You said it yourself. It's everybody, and I think people should go to the October 19th briefing meeting where this was discussed about limiting open mic. Another comment was, and actually 47 people came to speak before you on an item, and you said, if it seems like we're not paying attention, it's because we have work to do. Okay, we're the employer, we're coming, and we're talking to you. And you guys should take the time to listen. And also, you said that it interrupts your business meeting, okay? That's so absurd, okay? We are trying to inform you of how we feel about something. And again, that would go to putting fluoridation on the ballot. I do not see how any candidate could have a reason to say why they wouldn't support the public having a choice in this issue. I don't know. Maybe you'd say it's confusing, or maybe you would say it's already settled. But is it? The council voted on this in 1965, and the city water department is the one that's put out the information incorrectly, that it was the people. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Linda Newland.
Good day, Mayor. My name is Linda Newland. I live in District 7, and guess what? It happened again. Y'all didn't start on time, like I mentioned in one of my speeches on October 26th. And I surely hope y'all do not put on the agenda what y'all were considering to stop public from speaking. Remember that memorandum sent to the mayor and council dated 9/9 from the city manager's office? Surely hope so, as I did speak about that memo on 9/14. Anyone can see me speak on y'all's website or on DallasForSaferWater.com. Now I am totally convinced there is an agenda to keep adding to our water what y'all call fluoride, but is actually fluoric acid, a byproduct of the fertilizer industry that is labeled a poison. There is actually talk of an agenda in that memo. We have brought before y'all many, many times proof that it's bad for our bodies. lowers IQ and such. What do y'all do? Keep ignoring us that speak up against that toxin. Y'all don't even bring any proof to the table that it's good to add poison to our water. What's stopping y'all from getting yourselves together and vote to stop it immediately? Oh, perhaps what's stopping y'all is the city manager's office from whence that memo came from. If you can't get it stopped that way, how about placing it on the vote come May 2023? A simple yes or no for fluoride. But what about calling it what it is, a poison? Way back in the 1960s, there were only 679,684 citizens. Today, there are 6,488,000 citizens. We need a vote. There were 2 websites that tons of information on why it's bad for us. DallasForSaferWater.com, FluorideAlert.org. Have y'all got tons of proof it's good for us? Or is it just that outdated memo? If that's all y'all got, we win. Take it out immediately. A side note, I see the word ethic where it talks about the city manager on y'all's website. There's no ethics involved in that memo, 99, trying to sway the mayor and council to continue adding what y'all call fluoride.
That's your time. Thank you. Bertha Davis. Bertha Davis is not present. Leon Holman.
We'll move into our citizen appearances. The City Council invites citizens to address the council on any topic not already scheduled for public hearing. Citizens wishing to speak should complete a citizen comment card and present it to the city secretary or return to the ambassador table prior to the meeting. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the City Council cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda. However, your concerns may be addressed by city staff, placed on a future agenda, or responded to by some other course. Time limit is 3 minutes per speaker, and I do have a few, Mayor. First, I have Marjorie Steakley. Steakley. Thank you.
Ms. Steakley, if you could hit that little button on there with the little face on it, yep, and it'll turn red. You have 3 minutes to speak. Because we have one of our council members joining us virtually, the clock is not able to be on the screen for you to see. However, Mr. Bauer is going to be keeping time for you. And again, you can state your name and just your city of residence for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Marjorie E. Steakley, Dallas. I have a Bachelor of Arts from SMU in biology and a Master of Science in biology from UTD. I worked at Baylor Dell College for 7 years, and then I took a job at University of Tennessee Memphis Health Science Center for 5 years, where I worked in 2 departments. And in both locations, there was an enormous amount of corruption. I understand that DeSoto purchases its drinking water from the city of Dallas, which is fluoridated and has been since childhood. That election took place in the mid-'60s when I was a toddler, and so I was unable to vote on the issue myself. My mother eventually regretted her voting for it because I've had significant health problems as a result. I have advanced arthritis in both knees, which is why I use the rollator. It gives me a lot of relief from pain. I have hypothyroidism, which I've had for many years. And I'm on disability. I can't afford a reverse osmosis system, which would remove the water from the house. A lot of your constituents are in a similar scenario. Quite a few of them are a bit reticent to speak out like I am because of historic oppression or fear of losing a job or fear of alienating family or friends. So I not only speak on my own behalf, but on theirs. So it'll take 5 votes from the Dallas City Council to put this on the ballot. If it's discontinued in Dallas, then DeSoto and 20 other Dallas area suburbs will have cleaner drinking water that will no longer be causing these health problems. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out, Ms. Stickley. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Albert Holman.
Good evening, Mr. Holman. Please state your name and just your city of residence for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Albert Holman, and I live in Dallas, Texas. And I am with this group that has come here to speak out against fluoride in the water. There is nothing good about fluoride in the water, no matter what we have been told by the people who are making a lot of money because it's being put in the water. It started out as a very toxic residue from the aluminum industry, and they had to pay a lot of money to get rid of it. And then somebody came along with the idea, oh, it makes teeth whiter, so it's got to be good. And then they sold the idea of selling this toxic residue to cities to put in their water. And the people who did that didn't care. It was the dollar that ruled. Frankly, I've come to the conclusion that throughout time, the greatest opioid, if you will, in human history is the combination of greed and lust for power. That's what drives most people to large places in government, in my opinion. A lot of countries know that fluoride is very bad, and they know that, for instance, it's a neurotoxin. Children who have been consuming fluoride in the water for a period of time, the IQs tend to go down. And it also embrittleizes bones, and that's probably why a lot of people, the older they get, have brittle bones that break. And being a neurotoxin, it may be contributing to Alzheimer's as well. Countries that have gotten rid of fluoride completely, just to give you an example of some of them, these are very intelligent people in these Western European countries. Austria, Belgium, Finland, France, Germany, Hungary, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Northern Ireland, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, Scotland, Iceland, Italy. These people all know what it is, and they haven't been bought by the money exchanges. I have to honor Regina here for having started this effort years ago, and I participated in that, and it was with the county commissioners that the presentation was made. And you look at them, and across the way, they're not like you. You're all looking here. They had their computer screens up, and they were behind that and doing this and talking to each other, and they were just giving you the 3 minutes to make you think they cared. This community is a smaller community, so you are closer to your own people. And I forget who it was, but one of our founding fathers stated that if we have these great big, thickly populated cities, we will have a hard time keeping the rights of our Constitution that they had put together, which is an extraordinary document. The people were very... Is that 3 minutes?
Yes, sir. That does conclude your time. We appreciate you for coming out, Mr. Holman. We really do. Thank you.
Joe Stokes.
Mr. Stokes, yeah, I was about to say you can give it to him and he will. Yes. Is that for us?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stokes, please
yes,
state your name and your
Stokes,
city of residence.
Dallas. Mm-hmm. I know that you being a suburb of Dallas, you're not responsible for voting to add fluoride to the water. But you probably have no option except to purchase the water from Dallas. Well, Dallas has been informed. We've probably done 140 or more presentations for the last 10 years, trying to educate the council, and we've got probably close to half of the council members are ready to vote it out. So in the handout I've given you, the top thing says it was voted in 1966, and the council, Dallas City Council, must vote to stop adding fluoride. And it says, what can you do? Get informed and speak up. Highland Park and University Park has never fluoridated their water. When it came up for a vote, they knew better. And they said, we'll create our own independent water system. Down below it says Dallas City Council. This is how you can address the mayor and the city council. And then it has contact the city's secretary's office to get on there. Then I also have the email address for the Dallas City Council where you could contact them through emails, send articles, send information. There's a website called Dallas for Safer Water. Has everybody got this? Okay. It has there's a website, Dallas for Safer Water, that has chronicled our efforts for the last 10 years trying to get the Dallas City Council to take a vote or put it on the agenda. People are figuring out now, times have changed. People can research their own health. They don't have to take the word of the authorities, what they see on TV or what they, the memes that they get safe and effective. They can find out for themselves, and people are doing that. People are wising up, waking up, they're learning. They've taken their health into their own responsibility. So Dallas for Safer Water is a good place to chronicle our efforts. Below that, Fluoride Action Network, the most comprehensive, it's probably been going for 30 years. The latest science on what they're finding out about the addition of fluoride. And then there's an article, 69 Reasons to Oppose Adding Fluoride to Water. You turn the page. What is fluoridation? Just a brief statement telling what it is and what was intended. And I hope you know that in the world, only 3% of the world actually adds fluoride to the water. And what they're adding is not a pharmaceutical fluoride. What they're adding is called hydrofluorosilicic acid, which is a byproduct of the chemical fertilizer industry.
Thank you, Mr.
Toxic waste. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Thank you for coming out. And we will, Mr. Bauer will make sure we receive your handout. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Regina Imbergia.
I'm Regina Imbergia, and I'm here from Dallas. I love your city. I've never been here before. It's very welcoming, and it's beautiful, and I'm glad I had a reason to come here. And the reason I came was because 10 years ago, I did I was in a group called Activists for Truth. I was the leader of it, and truth about anything, and I wanted people to realize city government is the closest one to us, but nobody knew who their city council members were. So I thought, let's learn about it and have a project at the same time. And I always knew that fluoridation wasn't a good idea. Someone told me, and I mentioned it today, that if suntan lotion is good to protect you from the sun, doesn't mean drinking it was going to do any good for you. Well, the same thing with fluoride. Some people that have found that it's good for the teeth, it's topical. And this is all science. And the 10 years that we've had this website, you can go there and see the background of what we're saying. It is really science. Drinking this, ingesting it, does nothing good for our body except hurt our body. And I have been going to the city council for 10 years, and they have just been ignoring us. And some of the things that we've seen recently in the handout I gave to you was the Dallas water utilities and the city manager's side of the world tells the city council some fabrications, which the handout will have it there, and it'll show you where the documentation is not accurate. So the city council is only going on the information they're getting. And they're being told that what we have is pseudoscience, it's not the truth, but that's not the facts. And one of the things we've been really stating is that it disproportionately affects blacks and Hispanics. The science is there. And that's why it's cruel and wrong. It's wrong for everybody. But when this information is withheld, it makes me really angry. I have no benefit from this. It's not like I'm selling a product or anything like that. I'm a cook, and I'm a grandmother, and I'm a Christian, and it just hurts me. And so for a year and a half, I took it off. I was hitting my head against the wall going to them because I know they've been told, but they just won't do anything about it. So I stopped. And then a nice older lady who's going to come up knocked at my door and said, Regina, would you give it another chance? So 2 months ago, I said, we're in this to win it. We're going to think out of the box. And then I realized all you cities are buying Dallas water. You're consumers. You're paying for it. It's $1 million just for the chemical to put it in there. How much more is there for all the infrastructure, the manpower, the everything else? Maybe your bills, what you pay for it would be reduced. And you'd be helping your communities. Your residents don't deserve getting this fluoride in the water, just like we don't in Dallas. So you're the first city we came to of the 23 or whatever. We're going to go to all of them. And thank you for listening to us.
Thank you, Ms.
Look at the handout. Thank you. Thank you.
Linda Newland. Linda Newland.
Linda Newland, Dallas, Texas. I'm the older lady she's talking about. But I was back in Dallas at a council meeting, and this lady had brought Paul Connett to speak. He's the author of this book, The Case Against Fluoride, How Hazardous Waste Ended Up in Our Drinking Water and the Bad Science and Powerful Politics that Keep It There. I've read every word in this book, and I tell you, it's terrible what this does to our bodies. People with the 3 silent killers: low kidney function, diabetes, and your heart. If you have low kidney function, you can't filter this toxin very good out of your body. And there are other things listed here that are terrible for our bodies for consuming this toxin. And yes, y'all, the first city we're coming to, we're going to go to every single one that purchases water from Dallas. I'm actually looking for an upstander. Upstander people stand up and fight for what's right. And I hope each one of y'all will help us get this out of our water. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Newland.
If you would like to read this book, I'll leave it with you. Anybody? I'll be glad to. I've got several copies. Oh, that's right.
Thank you for coming out, Ms. Newland. Thank you. Do we have any additional cards from individuals who wish to speak? Okay, thank you. Ms. Stakely, Mr. Holman, Mr. Stokes, Ms. Ambersia, did I get that right? Kind of, sort of. Ms. Newland, thank you all for coming to speak at our meeting tonight, and I'm glad to hear that it was a positive experience and that our city was welcoming and all of that.
You all got the nicest smiles.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's good to hear. But thank you all for coming and speaking to our to us as a council, and thank you for the information, and they'll make sure that we receive it.
And you got emails too.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. At this time, Ms. Thomas will have the next item on the agenda.
Your next speaker, Kevin Regis. Mr. Regis will be followed by Melvin Boyd and Rebecca Marmaduke.
Okay, my name is Kevin Regis. I reside in Dallas, Texas, District 2. There are many studies done that show that the citizens of America consume the most amount of fluoridated water of all of the countries, both developed and undeveloped combined. Blacks as well as Hispanics are more susceptible for dental fluorosis, that's discoloration of the teeth, than those who live in upper class areas. Some of the reasons for this is because of their living conditions, which for a large majority of blacks in America is impoverished, and another is because of their biological makeup. For example, black people have a higher absorption rate than their Hispanic or Caucasian counterparts. Fluoridation in the water was first believed to help rid America of rampant cavities. However, past as well as current research shows that fluoridation in the water has done and continues to do very little to help fight cavities. The inner city has to suffer with the ramifications of adding additional fluoride to the water. This is because those who live in impoverished neighborhoods, including Dallas, cannot afford to purchase unfluoridated water all the time. It's easier to turn on the faucet than to open up a bottle of water that costs $1 or a couple of cents. Constantly using bottled water can get expensive. Buying a water filter that filters out fluoride successfully can be costly as well. And for a family living paycheck to paycheck, buying a $1,000 water filter is out of the question. Too much of anything is bad. This obviously includes drugs. Hydrofluorosilicic acid is a biohazardous waste, but the FDA has labeled it as a drug. Drugs need to have controlled recommended doses. However, there are no recommended amounts for how many glasses of water one should drink before this so-called drug becomes an overtly harmful toxin. The matter of fluoridating water is a civil rights issue because the position to take that is best for the people of this city has been thrown aside and makes life for those who are poor even worse. I believe and I know that the best position to have on the topic of water fluoridation is to stop the addition of fluoride to the water. Lastly, I would like to thank you guys for all your good works that you do for the city, and I hope and pray you'll do the right thing when the season comes around for you guys to renew the contract for further water fluoridation. Thank you. God bless.
Hi, my name is Raylene Stewart. I live at 16,000 Bentry Forest Circle, Dallas, Texas. And about a year ago, I started becoming aware of the issue of American cities putting extra fluoridation in their drinking water. And I really did not have any opinion one way or the other regarding the policy. However, I've learned a lot this year, and it seems to me that continuing the habit of adding the chemical waste byproduct, hydrofluorosilicic acid, to bring the public water supply fluoridation level up to 0.7 parts per million has the potential to cause more harm than to do good. I have been informed that the reason cities in America continue to do this practice is that it's supposed to help reduce cavities, and especially for the socioeconomic peoples of the cities whose dental care is not so easily affordable. From my own personal experience with cavities, I'm just not completely convinced this is so. I have lived in big cities all across America, and I drank only city tap water until a few years ago when I switched to drinking mostly bottled water. I've drunk the equivalent of about 8 glasses of 8 ounces of water a day for most of my adult life, and I seldom drink any sodas. Even so, as an adult, around the year 2002, I was diagnosed as having 10 cavities in my mouth at one time. I'm a person who brushes her teeth twice every day with fluoride toothpaste, and I have done so since I was a child. I've never eaten a lot of sweets on a daily basis either. but I was not getting regular dental cleanings and checkups at that time. It had been about 10 years since I had seen a dentist, nor was I flossing my teeth. Even after that, I did not start getting regular dental checkups for a few years, and at that time I had another cavity plus other dental issues. So I thought about that a lot when I was hearing and reading about the controversy over adding additional fluoride to the public water supply. If adding additional fluoride to the public water supply is supposed to ward off and make sure we experience less cavities as a whole, why didn't it work for me? Personally, I feel that to prevent cavities and the spread of cavities if you get one, what is really needed is regular dental cleanings and checkups, along with flossing every day and brushing our teeth twice a day. For the last 8 years, I've been getting dental cleanings every 3 months and dental exams every 6 months, and I floss regularly. I have not had a cavity in years now, even though I have stopped drinking tap water as my main source of water and started drinking as much bottled water as possible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Your next speaker, Henry Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. My name is Henry Rodriguez, 2404 Leal Street, San Antonio, Texas. And I want to thank you first for your commitment to this great city. I am the executive director for LULAC Concilio Zapatista, 4383, one of the most active and dynamic, well-respected LULAC councils anywhere in this country, and I say that with a lot of confidence, because we are. I place before you a packet of what my topic is about, and I just want to make a correction. It says that we are the most active. We're one of the. There's plenty out there that are doing some great work. If you check out my website, you'll see that we are very much for real. I also want to tell you that I'm so proud to be here and see the AARP people here, because I'm also part of that WISE group. I'm a card-carrying member of AARP. The League of United Latin American Citizens, the oldest and largest Hispanic civil rights organization in the country, stands firm in its opposition to fluoridation of public water anywhere in this country. We passed a resolution in 2011 at our national convention in Cincinnati, Ohio, before almost 2,000 voting delegates to that effect, saying, and what I claim, I am not a scientist, so I could never argue that, even though I have done quite a bit of research, because it's the right thing to do. But we are saying that forced, indiscriminate medication of our public water constitutes a civil rights violation. We are adamant about our cause. My resolution, which I was the only one that was allowed to get up and explain it and get grilled on it, passed unanimously at that. That means that LULAC throughout this country is supportive. Now, I would ask that, knowing that you have taken up a cause, you have championed a cause at one time or another, that you champion the cause of accountability. Since 1965, fluoride has been put in your public water here, just like it has in San Antonio. Well, you want to know what have been the benefits of that situation. To this day, I know you don't have it. Therefore, as a responsible group that you are, governmental body that you are, you have that responsibility to ask those hard questions. What has been the benefits? You don't have it right now. I do appreciate all the work that you do. I know that you question everything that has to do with public money, millions of dollars. So this is another one that you have to undertake. It's a very simple request. I'm not going to go into elaborate on anything else but accountability. I really thank you for your time. Thank you.
Mr. Cadane.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rodriguez, thank you so much for coming to Dallas. We're happy to have you here, and thank you for your cause. Thank you for fighting against the fluoridation. And I'm glad to hear that LULAC is backing that. That's nationally. We are naturally fluoridated in this city. And I think your cause is good for us to not fluoridate. Only 2 parts, 0.0002% is all we're trying to add on, and it's costing us over $1 million. This city could save $1 million by just dropping that 2%. And we are already fluoridated naturally, which is much better than what they're putting into our system today. It's not even a pharmaceutical grade fluoride they're using. So I appreciate you coming all the way from San Antonio to speak to us. And I'd like to, everyone that is backing Mr. Rodriguez, could you stand? We've got quite an audience against that. Thank you all so much for being here for this today. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming to Dallas.
Thank you. That's
And
like
hopefully
music
we
to my
can make
ears.
a little change here. We're still working, and it just seems reasonable that we could drop that 2 points and wouldn't hurt us at all. So thank you guys for standing behind your cause.
Thank you so much. That's all we could ask.
Thank you.
For you to
Thank
take a good
you,
look
Mayor.
at it.
You may begin. Paul McKinney.
Thank you, Mr. Orleans. My name is Paul McKinney. I'm from Cedar Hill. My background is in engineering and project management, which means I've probably spent hundreds of hours actually looking at fluoride this year. I've given you a 3-page document. It's got a nice little map of Dallas on it. And the 2 things that I want to talk about today are when people talk about fluoride and the damage from fluoride, they'll talk about fluorosis and that it's cosmetic damage. And I want to talk today about 2 pieces of hard data that I have with me that show there's more health impacts than just the cosmetic impacts of fluorosis from the fluoride arsenic product that we put in our water. The other thing that I want to talk about is the current process that we have in place for water fluoridation in Texas, but specifically in Dallas, is not in compliance with CDC recommendations. What the CDC recommends is that every person should know whether the fluoride concentration in their primary source of drinking water is below optimal, or above optimal. And where we are in Dallas right now is on this chart, the numbers that we show are what we put in our water quality report. However, the real number that we have for fluoride in our water from Dallas is 62% higher than what we show in our water quality report. And it's all based on the process and how those samples are taken, and I discuss that a little bit more in the document itself. Some of the information that I've included here has actually been 2 lab reports that I've taken on myself on fluoride. It's the ones that the medical community uses to determine the levels of fluoride. One of them that I took was 2 years ago. The other one that I took was just about a month ago. And basically, my wife and I, we're pretty healthy. We eat all organic, raw. We have a water filtration system that ionizes, and I've sent it to labs. It takes out 40% of the fluoride. But if you look at the lab report, my lab report shows that my fluoride levels are 2 times higher than they should be for the average person. And I would venture to guess that other people are going to have these same kind of issues. Another, this is a stack of MRIs and X-rays from my 90-year-old mom. She has lived in Dallas and has used Dallas water since the day they introduced fluoride. You can't see this from there, but there's 5 orthopedic surgeons that have looked at this. This vertebrae, that vertebrae, and that vertebrae all have osteosclerosis. Osteosclerosis is a direct result of fluoridation. I'd like to thank you very much for your time today.
Your next, John Greer.
Mayor Rawlings and Council, my name is John Greer. I reside at 2705 Dogleg Trail in McKinney, Texas. I'm here to plead with the council to stop the fluoridation of the public water supply. I am epileptic, having suffered 15 years from age 15 to 30 with grand mal seizures. Doctors have had no clue as to the cause and do not care to find one. I have been seizure-free for 11 years now, taking extremely high doses of very caustic medicine to stop the misfiring in my brain. Too many nasty side effects to mention in 3 minutes. I have done years of research identifying possible ways to remove neurotoxins from my body to lower and one day get off my medication. I have removed all amalgam fillings from my teeth that for years the so-called professionals have said like fluoride were safe, only to recently come out and say that it is toxic. I eat a gluten-free, mostly organic diet, taking many supplements, avoid chemicals in my food as best I can. I'm not going to go into what fluoride can do or even how bad of a neurotoxin it is. You've heard it for many months now from many concerned citizens and professionals alike. It is time to take action to correct this wrong and provide us with clean drinking water. When you ask me what taking fluoride out of the water means to me, I would say it could mean the difference between life and death. The $8,000 I spend each year on medication, the horrific side effects I suffer daily, and the thought that my liver may fail because of it, is not a good trade-off, so that so-called less fortunate children can get fluoride. Less fortunate children are usually covered by CHIP and or Medicaid that includes topical fluoride treatments that are effective if under a dentist's care. This council has the chance to help so many with one decision. With you hearing all the facts, to continue down the same path of mass medication would not just be irresponsible or irrational, it would be a violation of a basic right of informed consent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Grayson.
Mr. Greer,
Yes.
did you grow up in Dallas?
I grew up in the Dallas area in the colony.
Well, I just noticed that you and your wife live in McKinney, and McKinney has a different water system
Yes.
than we do. So, you know, if we remove fluoride from our water, it still would, it might impact you if the North Texas Municipal Water District
Yes,
doesn't.
ma'am. By y'all, Dallas is such a big municipality that anything y'all do will be a domino effect. We've seen other cities, Israel, the park cities has never fluorided, put fluoride in their water. So y'all taking that massive step will give us the next step to go to McKinney.
Okay, I appreciate that, and thank you for coming down. I just wanted to point out that your water system is different than ours.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
aware. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Ms. Grayson.
Your next speaker is Phyllis Greer.
Good afternoon, Mayor Rawlings and the council. My name is Phyllis Greer, and I live in McKinney, Texas, married to John Greer. I'm here today to speak also on the issue of adding fluoride to the Dallas water supply. My concern with this issue is the damage we are doing to the general public, specifically the children and persons with serious health conditions. I am a wife, mother, grandmother of 2 small children, and it kills me to know that my grandson is being bombarded with this toxin on a daily basis. And when my infant granddaughter is no longer being breastfed, she will also be subjected to this toxin. Now, I realize that the practice of adding fluoride to the water began decades ago, but so much information has come to light over the years. For the life of me, I don't understand why we're still even discussing it. How can we as a society support this practice, knowing the dangerous effects of this drug? I also wonder, A, how a municipality is authorized to medicate the public. B, if we have received FDA approval for adding this medication. And C, how we can administer a drug without the consent of the public. I further understand the practice is costing the city of Dallas $1 million each year. That really does not sound like prudent use of public funds to me. The Dallas water already has a concerning amount of naturally occurring fluoride in the water, so it makes absolutely no sense to add more. It is my belief that the council has the opportunity to do something very big for the city, the state, and even the country. Once this practice of adding fluoride to the drinking water is halted in Dallas, I expect to see a ripple effect of other municipalities following suit. When it comes time for you to vote on whether or not to continue adding hydrofluorosilicic acid to the drinking water for the city of Dallas, ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1, has this substance been proven to be safe and effective? Should the city of Dallas really be spending $1 million annually to administer a drug? And 3, would there be any harm from not adding fluoride to the water? I am pleading with you to do the right thing. In closing, my advice to you is this: when in doubt, leave it out. Thank you very much for your time and attention. God bless you.
John Parks. John Parks. Mr. Parks will be your final speaker.
Thank you. I have, most of you probably drink bottled water. I was looking at the statistics, and about $12 billion a year are spent by the U.S. population on bottled water. Your average American drinks about 31 gallons of bottled water on average. That shows that the overwhelming majority, or a large percentage of the population, tries for non-polluted water, tries to take active steps, active measures to have clean water that is toxin-free and free of pollutants. Additionally, I'm going to be leaving an information packet with you all. Here is a way, there's listed here ways that you can take care of yourselves and your family. Reverse osmosis is a water filtration system that takes fluoride and a large number of other toxins out. I'm leaving another one that is it's a gravity countertop water filtration system. Once again, specific. One of the selling points that they list on here is how to take fluoride out of the water. I'm leaving a lab report for that filter system and the wide range of pollutants that it removes from the water. These are ways that you can take care of yourselves and your family. But note on here that on these they specifically talk about fluorosilicic acid, which you all are about to be voting on in January on renewing the contract for. So there are already, not only is it a large percentage of the population doing bottled water and wanting filtered water, there are people willing to take the extra step to get water filtration systems that purify the water for themselves and for their family. More specifically, it filters fluoride. So my point is as the gentleman earlier spoke of, not everyone has the money and the resources and the motivation or even the ability to purchase these filtration systems. I've done it for myself. Y'all have the money with which to do so for your own family, but there are many people that cannot do that, and they suffer the consequences of that. So we've discussed, I've looked at seminars from experts on this matter. They have shown that fluoride is a neurotoxin. It targets intelligence, or it harms people's intelligence, it reduces IQ, and so there's all kinds of other unable to be quantified costs associated with that. And then there's, of course, the human element of how people suffer in their health and in their quality of life and in their potential from the fluoridation process. So I ask you, please do not just the logical thing, but also the humane thing. And come in January, please refrain from adding fluoride to Dallas City water. Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes your afternoon speakers.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned at 3:48 p.m. Thank you.
Ann Riddell.
I'm Ann Riddell from District 14. Studies have shown that topical fluoride reduces tooth decay. Multiple studies have also shown that fluoride damages the brains of developing children, reducing their IQ scores. And I'm here today to say there's a deeper issue that we need to be addressing that is manifesting through these seemingly well-intentioned but opposing sides. I'm a retired psychiatrist whose specialty has been psychological development and the trauma that often interferes. Unresolved trauma is rampant in our nation. Ivan Pavlov first described the effects of trauma on dogs. Physician William Sargent expounds on Pavlov's work in his book, Battle for the Mind, stating the same 3 phases of traumatic reaction apply to traumatized people. When we human animals experience stress beyond our abilities to cope, we go into the first equivalent phase where our perceptions generalize. Different types of stimuli, from minor to major, are seen as the same. In my experience, people in the equivalent phase have a one-size-fits-all mentality. These traumatized people can believe that bodies and souls the world over, no matter what their ages, lifestyles, diets, states of ill health, or stages of psychological development, are the same and should be equally benefited by industrial waste products added to their drinking water. The next phase of traumatic reaction, as described by Pavlov and Sargent, is the paradoxical phase. When we've been severely traumatized, our perceptions can turn upside down. A minor event seems highly important, and a major problem seems insignificant. An example of the paradoxical phase would be someone who would rather protect children's teeth than protect their brains. And the final phase of traumatic reaction described by Pavlov and Sargent is the ultra-paradoxical phase. When we've suffered the most extreme forms of trauma, our perceptions can turn upside down into the extreme. Human beings that we once valued and protected, we may now treat as enemies to be thwarted. Because of the plummeting IQ scores in the United States and rising disease and mortality rates, I believe paradoxical and ultra-paradoxical mindsets are contributing to these escalating crises. Those who are choosing to put the toxic waste of fluoride into the water of all Dallas citizens are likely suffering from one of these 3 phases of stuck traumatic reaction. So if we must choose something for all our people, may it be a recovery program for unresolved trauma. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Mondo.
Hi, Peter Mondo, District 9. I've come to request you take hydrofluoric acid to stop adding it to the water. In the last few days, I sent you the Harvard meta-study. This meta-study reviews 27 studies from around the world that deal directly with the effect of fluoride on IQ. And this study, a premier study, published in a premier journal, definitively shows that IQ is significantly reduced by in high fluoridated areas. So if you have if one area is fluoridated and the other is not, the IQ is significantly reduced in high fluoridated areas. I used to work in construction. I worked here in Dallas. I worked on City Place, JCPenney, IBM. And my job was to review the pours and make sure that these pours were good. I had to check the rebar, the embeds, the penetrations. And if they weren't good, I wouldn't sign the pour card, and the pour couldn't be made. So this would upset my superintendent. It would upset Crazy Eddie, who was the rebar foreman. because, you know, these people are in a huge amount of pressure to get this stuff done and to make money, and I'm causing the money and I'm causing their time if I don't sign that poor card. So I never told Crazy Eddie, the rebar foreman, that I was smarter than him or more experienced. I just said, Eddie, we're paying you to build it according to plans and specs, and if it's not like that, the pour is not going to be made. You need to rip your rebar out, and you need to do it again, and if it costs you money, I'm sorry, but we're building everything to plans and specs. Now, you guys are under a lot of pressure not to change the status quo. But this study I sent you, it's your plans and specs. You don't have to tell anybody. I never told Eddie that I was smarter than him or that I had more experience than him. I just told him we were doing it to plans and specs. So you don't have to tell anybody you're smarter than anybody or more experienced or you know what to do with fluoride. You just have to show them this premier study and say, this is what I'm going to do. This is the best and latest information on fluoride. So we're in the same situation. I had to protect my client. That client paid to have a building built that was to plans and specifications, and you're here to protect the citizens of Dallas. And I've given you the plans and specs. I've given you the premier study. All you have to just read the abstracts. It's definitive. What we're saying is if kids drink fluoridated water that used to be sold as rat poison, it's going to affect their brains.
Your time has expired.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Hank Black from 8722 Diceman Drive, Dallas 75218. Fluoride. Why do I question this practice that is supposed to be a benefit? Wasn't this all settled before you even took office? Don't we all know that it's endorsed by the CDC, the ADA, the AMA, the FDA, the USDA, the EPA? Well, it's now evident that they are breaking all their own rules when promoting fluoride. Everything is upside down. The materials I distributed document how the EPA's actual scientists, opposed to its public policy people, discovered that fluoride is toxic. And these scientists have issued statements and even lawsuits to rectify this. They have gone to Congress. The EPA brass fired their own top toxicologist for letting his alarming studies out to the public. Why is this not publicized? These are facts. These EPA scientists are the real experts you should interview. So this is documented here. I selected very carefully some materials for brevity and relevance. Things are upside down now. You may feel it's conservative to support this policy. It was in place before you got here. But in fact, it's the opposite. It's a radical practice that goes against the law and all medical ethics. The well-established rules say that a medicine must be proven safe before release. But here, we are told, try and prove it's dangerous. Normally, dosage must be controlled, side effects monitored, patients screened, margins of safety established, etc., etc. But not for this one. Instead of running the standard tests, they simply toss liability from one agency to another, decade after decade, while promoting intense propaganda. Still, research has accumulated, indicating great danger of cancer, neurotoxicity, bone disease, thyroid problems, and more. But all we hear about are dentists endorsing this. This is a thinning smokescreen. The reports of top toxicologists and epidemiologists and bone specialists, brain surgeons are suppressed. Why would anybody do this? No time for that. Okay. Please study my stuff, and let me quote from the internet, from Mark Twain. Get your facts first, then you can distort them as much as you please. I am not a humorist. I say get your facts first before hardening your stance. It would be tragic if we divide all the people that weigh in on this as our experts and your experts.
Thank you, Mr. Black.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Cadane.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Black, for coming down and speaking on the fluoride. I think you're exactly right. I think we're already naturally fluoridated in this city, and I believe by saving 0.0002% is not going to hurt us. We don't need the maximum amount we can do, and we can save a water department over $1 million by doing it. So thank you for coming down for your remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to respond to the ongoing remarks regarding fluoride. All the major scientific and medical organizations have stated over and over and over again about the use of fluoride in the water and what the benefits are. We've had numerous people down on both sides of the aisle discuss this. All we're simply doing in the city of Dallas is adjusting the level. I want to make it clear again, fluoride is naturally in the water, Dallas water. We're just simply adjusting the formula, the ingredients to balance that out so that the water is somewhat uniform throughout the entire water system that's provided to us. So I don't know why we continue to have folks come down and make those allegations that somehow that this is poisoning you. I had about 2 large glasses of Dallas water right out of the tap this morning, and I don't think I'm receiving really any negative effects at all. You know, I've been using it my entire life. So I don't know why we continue to line up time after time after time when the AMA and the Texas Medical Group and the American Dental Society, all the scientists keep saying that the adjustment level of fluoride is a good thing. I've only had maybe 4 cavities in my entire life as a result of that. My parents, on the other hand, have had really negative problems with their teeth because they didn't have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Stokes, 8930 San Benito Way, Dallas. I'm going to keep coming here until you have done your research, the homework. We've provided you with a lot of information, the real science, the actual research on fluoridation of water. It is neither safe nor effective, especially the hydrofluorosilicic acid that you purchased from Mosaic Corporation. A year ago this month, Mosaic Corporation was fined the biggest fine ever given out by the Environmental Protection Agency, $2 billion for the improper handling and treatment, storage and disposal of waste from the production of their fertilizer and sulfuric acids. That was a year ago. You probably saw this on the news, the big sinkhole that opened up in Central Florida. That was at the Mosaic Corporation plant in Florida. 45 feet across, hundreds of feet deep. They said 300, probably deeper. 215 million gallons of radioactive toxic waste emptied from their storage container tanks down to the aquifer. The Department of Environmental Protection in Florida was notified of this, but it took 3 weeks for either Mosaic or the agency to notify the public about this. And this just happened. You probably saw it. This is Mosaic Corporation. This is who you buy your hydrofluorosilicic acid from, the toxic waste that you're adding to our water. You are known by the company you keep, and I would suggest that if you're going to continue adding toxic waste to our water, you find a more reputable business to buy it from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here to speak to ask you all to have the fluoride removed from the water. My name is John Parks. I live at P.O. Box 852632 in Richardson. I wanted to outline some of the health costs associated with fluoride. First of all, you're spending about $1.5 to $2 million here in Dallas to put fluoride in the water. But as any economist can tell you, the costs on paper are not the total cost. There's always hidden costs to every action. I'm going to outline some of them. Some of this the health costs and then also the criminal justice costs. Fluoride suppresses thyroid functioning by competing with iodine with your thyroid producing thyroxine, T3, T4, and making it harder to produce. Isn't it interesting that hypothyroidism is so common here in the U.S., considering that 70% of water is fluoridated, whereas in almost all the other countries of the world, fluoride isn't in the water. Symptoms are going to include depression and fatigue, weight gain, muscle and joint pain, increased cholesterol levels, and heart disease. These are costs that whenever you go to, when the poor go to Parkland, when the elderly go to Parkland, when your average person goes down to Parkland, those are costs that are borne by the people of the city of Dallas. It also impairs melatonin production, which affects how a person sleeps. No one is saying fluoride in the water is the total cause of sleep disorders, but a third of the U.S. population doesn't get a good night's sleep. There's fluoride in the water increases incidence of hip fractures in the elderly when an elderly person falls. As you know, so oftentimes their life is shortened, their ability to and their independence is curtailed. That also reduces intelligence as well as causes cognitive deficits, fetal brain development, impairing learning and memory, and in combination with lead in the environment can cause brain damage in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. How much could be saved from special education costs if there was a reduction of these symptoms due to this neurotoxin, fluoride, not being put in the water that people have to drink? There's criminal justice costs. When the lead is in the environment, fluoride facilitates lead being introduced into the body. When lead, of course, goes to the brain, it destroys the prefrontal cortex of the brain, impairing decision-making. Oftentimes, people who make bad decisions end up in the criminal justice system. How much could be saved from the criminal justice system, from the prison system, from jail, from the courts? And if people had higher cognitive functioning because they didn't have these neurotoxins in their system. So I wanted to say thank you. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for considering this, and I look forward to $2 million being saved from the Dallas city budget in the fluoride, but also the other costs, the human costs, the medical costs to all of us. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
Linda Newland. Ms. Newland, you do have 3 minutes. You'll notice the timer at the podium. Please address your comments to Mayor Rawlings.
Yes, my name is Linda Newland. I live at 2468 Dorrington Drive, Dallas, Texas, District 7. On April 27th of this year, I was before the council. Unfortunately, Mayor, you were not here that evening, and I spoke before the council on the fluoridation issue. Y'all are adding fluoridation to our water, when in fact, y'all should not be adding fluoridation because there are all kinds of bad stuff happening to our bodies with drinking extra fluoride. Fluoride is, from what I understand, naturally occurring in Dallas water, so no fluoridation should be added. Well, just so happened, page yellow, I found out that Councilman Kingston happened to text while he was in a meeting. He wasn't paying attention to us. As a matter of fact, I have noticed today, since I've been here all evening, Councilman Kingston has been on his cell phone quite often. and some of the other members too. So what I'm really talking about, Mayor, is that we need to have respect from the council members to actually listen to what we're saying. I have provided handouts about the bad stuff about fluoridation for y'all to take time to hopefully read, since some of y'all do not pay attention to the speakers or give us time of day. Sometimes it seems that way. On the last page, it is always best, Proverbs, it's always best to be on the safe side. Be on the safe side. Do not add more fluoride, please. If the job is worth doing right, it's worth doing well. Honesty is the best policy. Sometimes I don't think y'all are being honest with the people because you're not listening to us. Action speaks louder than words. There's more, but please take time to read. Thank you for your time.
Well, you look like you're ready for the 4th of July. It's great to have you here. Thank you very much. As the song says, school's out for July, okay? The meeting's adjourned at 5:48 p.m. Yeah, exactly. You can sing it.
Good morning. My name is Linda Patterson, and I live at 909 Hampshire in Grand Prairie, Texas. And I'm here to speak about fluoride this morning and the danger of it. In the U.S., about 70% of public water supplies are fluorinated. Yet the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have recently acknowledged that the mechanisms of fluoride benefits are mainly topical, not systemic. There is no need whatsoever, therefore, to swallow fluoride to protect teeth. Since the benefit of fluoride is topically and the risks are systemic, it makes more sense to deliver the fluoride directly to the tooth in the form of toothpaste. Since swallowing fluoride is unnecessary and potentially dangerous, there is no justification for forcing people to ingest fluoride through their water supplies. A multi-million-dollar U.S. National Institute of Health-funded study found no significant relationship between tooth decay and fluoride intake among children. This was in 2009. This is the first time tooth decay has been investigated as a function of individual exposure, as opposed to mere residence in fluoridation communities. Yet, Dallas fluoride is added to our water supply, and we must ask ourselves why we are doing this. Many of those promoting fluoridation rely heavily on a list of endorsements, but endorsements do not represent scientific evidence. The continued use of these endorsements has more to do with political science than medical science. Where fluoridation has been discontinued in communities from Canada, the former East Germany, Cuba, and Finland, dental decay has not increased, but has generally continued to decrease. Some countries have areas with high natural fluoride levels in the water, and these countries, India, China, parts of Africa, and these countries, measures are being taken to remove the fluoride because of the health problems that fluoride can cause. Tooth decay is high in low-income communities that have been fluorinated for years. Despite some claims to the contrary, water fluoridation cannot prevent the oral health crisis, but results from rampant poverty, inadequate nutrition, and a lack of access to dental care. There have been numerous reports of severe dental crises in low-income neighborhoods of the U.S. that have been fluoridated for over 20 years. Boston, Cincinnati, New York, Pittsburgh. In addition, research has recently found fluoridation to be ineffective at preventing the most serious oral health problems facing children, namely baby bottle decay. Baby bottle tooth decay. The facts are available. Your verdict should be easy. Let us save that $1 million a year and all the money that we're paying salaries to, and let's make a difference for Dallas. Let's be a forerunner of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your next speaker, Joshua Finkenbinder. Mr. Finkenbinder will be followed by Monta Yeaman and Cynthia Smith.
I am Josh Finkenbinder at 909 Hampshire, Grand Prairie, Texas. I'm here today to address some of the health risks surrounding fluoridation. First, let me begin by saying this is so important to me because I have been a victim of fluoride in our water and have gone blind in part because of fluoride in our environment. And thankfully, through over many years and several medical procedures, most of my vision has been restored to me. Also, another reason this issue is so important to me is for the less fortunate in our community who cannot afford the $10,000 or more water treatment systems to get fluoride out of their water. So they are the ones who are most at risk here. Dental fluorosis is a known result of ingesting fluoride, not debated by the pro-fluoride community. Promoters of fluoridation are content to dismiss fluorosis as just cosmetic, but fluorosis should be viewed as an indicator of wider systemic damage. For example, in areas of naturally high levels of fluoride, the first indicator of harm is dental fluorosis in children. In the same communities, many older people develop skeletal fluorosis. The kidneys only excrete 50 to 60% of the fluoride ingested each day. The remainder accumulates in calcifying tissues such as bones and the pineal gland. Effects on the brain. According to the National Research Council, it is apparent that fluorides have the ability to interfere with the functions of the brain. The EPA has listed fluoride among the 100 chemicals for which there is substantial evidence of developmental neurotoxicity. Animal experiments show that fluoride accumulates in the brain and alters mental behavior in a manner consistent with a neurotoxic agent. There have now been over 100 animal experiments showing that fluoride can damage the brain. Animal studies have found effects on the brain at water fluoride levels as low as 5 parts per million. There have now been 33 studies that have reported an association between fluoride exposure and reduced IQ. A team of Harvard scientists concluded that fluoride's impact on the developing brain should be a high research priority. Fluoride affects thyroid function. According to the U.S. National Research Council, several lines of information indicate an effect of fluoride exposure on thyroid function. In the middle of the 20th century, fluoride was prescribed to those suffering from overactive thyroid. According to a clinical study by Giletti and Joyette, the thyroid function of hyperthyroid patients was effectively reduced at just 2.3 to 4.5 milligrams a day of fluoride ion. To put this finding in perspective, the Department of Health and Human Services in 1991 had estimated that total fluoride exposure in fluoridated communities ranges from 1.6 to 6.6 milligrams a day. This is a remarkable fact, particularly considering the increasing problem of hyperthyroidism in the United States and other fluoridated communities. In 2010, the second most prescribed drug of the year was Synthroid, which is a hormone replacement drug used to treat an underactive thyroid. These are just a few of the many health concerns. And I would remind that whenever we are in doubt, we should leave it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bed.
Your next speaker, Marjorie Stakely.
Marjorie Stakely, 1500 North Garrett Avenue, apartment 314-75206. The last time I spoke before this body, I was speaking how I was personally affected by the addition of hydrofluorosilicic acid, commonly known as fluoride, to our water. I was not quite able to finish my remarks. You may have noticed that I have a lot of difficulty getting around, especially up and down the steps in the chambers. And this is because of the arthritis that has been brought on by a fluorosis of the bone. When fluorosis appears in the teeth, It also appears in the bone because both are made primarily of calcium. And this has become increasingly painful even this year compared to last year. I mentioned last time that I have been having trouble sleeping. Last night I was not able to get to sleep until 6 a.m. And so I'm barely conscious sitting here or standing here trying to speak before you. The previous speaker and the last agenda item referred to the field of environmental justice, or EJ for short. An issue that came up repeatedly was the food deserts. That is a legitimate EJ issue. The speaker immediately preceding me also referenced EJ issues such as substandard infrastructure. Fluoridation is also an EJ issue, as people who are much darker in coloring than me and people who are as poor or poorer than me are disproportionately affected. The park cities have never ever been fluoridated, ever. And they are not only the most wealthy region or neighborhood in the country, they are the most wealthy neighborhood in the world. That tells you something. You've heard over the past few years many people testify on this subject. It is time to leave dogmas presented by polluting industries decades ago behind. Real science is about change. It is not about dogma. It is about overcoming dogmas that are repressive and that have been inherited from the past and moving forward with new knowledge. And I deeply, and not only that, many people who look much darker than I have spoken to me personally about this issue, and I'm also speaking on their behalf because for want of a certain privilege, they are afraid to speak out themselves. Please discontinue fluoridation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our first speaker, Regina Imburgia.
Good morning. My name is Regina Imburgia. I'm in Philip Kingston's district. Good morning, Mayor. I've been coming here. This is a nice big full crowd here. It's so exciting. People come and stand up for what they believe in, and that's what I've been doing for 3 years. I've been coming here telling you guys you should save the money and stop putting the hydrofluorosilicic acid in the water to raise the fluoride to supposedly help all the people that don't have access to fluoride. Fluoride now is found in so many different places, plus all the toothpaste, that you would want has fluoride. It's not the issue of the fluoride, it's the issue of the poverty issue, eating, yes, Mr. Clayton, it has to do with how do people eat and how much sugar do they have and if they have good hygiene. So the poverty areas that you all are saying that you're fluoridating for, these areas still have high decay rates. So something's wrong. Okay, so now the handout I'm giving you, and so that the people in the audience will know, this is a handout, a flyer of a woman, and she's a doctor, Sushila. Okay, she's from India, and she is actually coming to an event in Canada. Because all over the world, there's places, all these places are looking into why adding fluoride to the water is a bad idea. In India, they fight to take the fluoride out of the water because they know the negative health effects of it. So this doctor does not have any lobbyists or companies like Mosaic coming to them and trying to tell them why it's such a good idea to put it in the water. It's in their water, it's in their soil, and they have a serious health issue because of it. And she's been working on this for 30 years, okay? So she could be a guest speaker here. If you guys would ever, in 3 years, everybody in the audience, I have been requesting the Quality of Life and Environment Committee to at least discuss this, but they won't. The pro-fluoride lobby, in their newsletters, they joke and compliment themselves that they actually are getting to the council through the back door, okay? In the last 3 years, there's only been 7 pro-fluoride people to come before you, 7 presentations in 3 years, and that was 5 people, 5 different people. We have been coming for 3 years, countless people. There was the D Magazine poll in the city of Dallas that said 71% of Dallas says do not fluoridate, but you guys continue to fluoridate. So this is one more time, and anyone in the audience that feels as though we don't need to have poison added to our water, it can be gotten some other way, and that the city of Dallas can save the money, I sure hope they will support us and look into dogsagainstfluoridation.com and see all the things that are going on. Hello, Mr. Griggs. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope you all have a nice day.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Adam.
Your next speaker, Kermit Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell will be followed by Chantal Rashban.
Good morning. Kermit Mitchell, 5.
Good morning. My name is Chantal Rashvan. I live at 9306 Clearwater Drive in Dallas. Mayor Rawlings, there's no doubt that lead is in the Dallas tap water, and this lead situation is getting worse. This information comes directly from tests conducted by the City of Dallas. Over a 15-year period, the City of Dallas conducted household tap water tests. 31% of the households tested had increased lead levels. I'll repeat this. Over a 15-year period, the City of Dallas conducted household tap water tests. Almost 1/3 of the households tested had increased levels of lead. It should be noted when the city conducted these lead tests, they let the faucet water run for a period of time prior to the tests in order to flush out buildup residues. However, most citizens do not let their faucets run for 5 minutes prior to getting a drink of water. Despite warnings, the Dallas City Council voted on January 28, 2015 to continue to inject into the water lines an extremely acidic, highly reactive, highly corrosive, hazardous toxic waste substance called hydrofluorosilicic acid. This substance that Dallas injects into the drinking water as a treatment for dental cavities is so corrosive that it melts glass, melts concrete, melts metal, and melts the lead off of pipes, and that lead then goes into the drinking water. This acid is also contaminated with arsenic and lead and radioactive material. Why is hydrofluorosilicic acid contaminated with radioactive material? Because there is a natural and unavoidable connection between phosphate mining and radioactive material. It is because phosphate and uranium were laid down at the same time and in the same place by the geological processes. They go together. Mine phosphate and you get uranium. It is also important to note that the company that Dallas buys the hydrofluorosilicic acid from is negatively in the news again. Mosaic was aware of a radioactive sinkhole that they had created in Florida but kept it a secret. 19 days later, a news reporter exposed it. That was September 19th, 2016. Anyone listening should go and Google Mosaic Florida sinkhole to see what they're doing, or go to dogsagainstfluoridation.com. By the way, the Dallas City Council was sent this information weeks ago. Mayor, you know 9 on this council can vote to stop this unsafe, ineffective program. Simply turn off the tap that adds this poison to our water, save the money, and stop the damage. At the very least, the City of Dallas should have an open dialogue about the public health hazard, which affects millions of people who live and visit the Dallas area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Stokes, 8930 San Benito Way, Dallas. I'm going to keep coming here until you have done your research, the homework. We've provided you with a lot of information, the real science, the actual research on fluoridation of water. It is neither safe nor effective, especially the hydrofluorosilicic acid that you purchased from Mosaic Corporation. A year ago this month, Mosaic Corporation was fined the biggest fine ever given out by the Environmental Protection Agency, $2 billion for their improper handling and treatment, storage and disposal of waste from the production of their fertilizer and sulfuric acids. That was a year ago. You probably saw this on the news, the big sinkhole that opened up in Central Florida. That was at the Mosaic Corporation plant in Florida. 45 feet across, hundreds of feet deep. They said 300, probably deeper. 215 million gallons of radioactive toxic waste emptied from their storage container tanks down to the aquifer. The Department of Environmental Protection in Florida was notified of this, but it took 3 weeks for either Mosaic or the agency to notify the public about this. And this just happened, you probably saw it. This is Mosaic Corporation. This is who you buy your hydrofluorosilicic acid from, the toxic waste that you're adding to our water. You are known by the company you keep, and I would suggest that if you're going to continue adding toxic waste to our water, you find a more reputable business to buy it from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter Mondo.
Hi. My question is, why does the council decide whether or not to medicate the people of Dallas with fluoride? And I say medicate because fluoride does not treat the water. It's not in there to kill bacteria. It's put in the water to treat people. So we're treating people, and that's why I and many other people just consider medication. But why are you guys given that decision? You are not biochemists, you're not doctors, or to my knowledge, yet you've been given this responsibility. I propose that the reason you've been given this responsibility is not because you're qualified, but because you are not qualified. Not because you know, but because you don't know. When I worked for HCB contractors, I would inspect the work being done by our subcontractors at their fabrication facilities. It was my job to approve their pay requests for work done. If they didn't want to have to tell me if they didn't want to have to tell me the truth, and they didn't want to lie, they would give me someone who didn't know anything. He would give me some vague assurances, but nothing of substance, in hopes I would go away and approve their pay requests. So I mean, this guy, I just couldn't get the information I needed out of him, but I certainly wanted to make that pay request because there's big trouble if there isn't. So they gave me somebody who didn't know anything. You are acting in a similar role for the fluoride industry. You don't know about the health problems associated with ingesting fluoride. Therefore, the fluoride industry doesn't have to lie. They have you, and they understand the reluctance you have to change the status quo. That reluctance is based on your lack of knowledge, not on your informed opinion. So I'm saying you guys are the unwilling aides of an evil industry. So as a citizen of Dallas, I have the right to ask you, why are you medicating the citizens of Dallas with fluoride? More specifically, why are you medicating my family and me? Can you assure me that the plethora of studies showing severely negative side effects of fluoride are invalid? That's your job. Can you show me that? Since you have been put in the position of being a physician, you're deciding whether or not to give me a medication. I believe since you're in that position, you've got two choices. One, you can say, I'm not qualified to make this decision, but as a physician, the first thing I do is do no harm, and thereby you take the fluoride out of the water. The second thing is you read all the literature that's available in 2020, and you make an informed decision. But until you do that, take the fluoride out.
Thank you, Mr. Mondo. That's your time. Thank you very much.
Joe Stokes.
Joe Stokes, in District 9. I'm here to talk about the TSCA lawsuit. That's the Toxic Substances Control Act. They authorized the Environmental Protection Agency to prohibit a particular use of a chemical that presents an unreasonable risk to the general public or susceptible subpopulations. the TSCA gives the EPA the authority to prohibit drinking water additives. Well, they've been negligent. On November 22nd, 2016, a citizen's petition was presented to the U.S., the EPA requesting that they exercise its authority to prohibit the purposeful addition of fluoridation chemicals to U.S. water supplies. They made the request on the grounds that a large body of animal, cellular, and human research shows that fluoride is neurotoxic at doses within the range now seen in fluoridated communities. The petition was submitted by the Fluoride Action Network together with the Food and Water Watch, the American Academy of Environmental Medicine, the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology, and other groups. Well, on February 3rd, 2020, the TSCA fluoride lawsuit will be heard in U.S. District Court in the Northern District of California. All this was set into motion before the recent confirmation that indeed fluoride ingested by expectant mothers with their babies in utero, their children, their offspring would or have a lower IQ. That's been proven time and time again. More than 300 studies have shown fluoride's toxic effect on the brain, including the 2006 National Research Council review that suggested fluoride exposure may be associated with brain damage, endocrine system disruption, and bone cancer. In 2012, Harvard researchers revealed that children living in high fluoride areas had significantly lower IQ scores than those who lived in low fluoride areas. Drinking fluoridated water, which poses risk to the brain and overall health when ingested, makes little sense, especially since any benefits it provides to your teeth occur from topical exposure. When you drink fluoridated water, 99% of the fluoride goes down the drain into the environment. I've provided you a handout, and on the back there are 4 websites listed where you can find the latest research, the real science, the recent science that says that fluoride is the wrong way to go. You authorize the purchase of fluoride that we add to our water. You can stop it.
Thank you.
Linda Newland.
Good afternoon. Linda Gale Lewis Newland, District 7. These are water jug babies. They represent water I found. Fluoride-free infant water. That tells me people are demanding fluoride-free water for their babies due to that study. Lower IQs of babies. I must also mention what a great prayer that was. It mentioned change. Change is what we need. Change. Do not add fluoride. It's bad for everyone. I'm dressed today, kind of strange, pink and blue. Babies, they are our future. They will eventually become adults. They cannot sit where y'all are sitting if they have lower IQs. And there's loads of backup. The case against fluoride. Pages. This Paul Conant, pages and pages. It's bad. How long do y'all realize how long Regina has been coming here? Since 2013, trying to convince y'all. I happened to come here to speak before the city council in 2014. I was here when Paul Conant spoke to y'all in 2014. That's how I met Regina. I actually came here to speak to y'all about something else, but now I speak about this bad fluoride. This was not my speech, but I had to say these words. The website for Fluoride Alert Organization talks about the lower IQ. Website for Dallas for Safety Water lists many, many studies done to show fluoride is bad. In the book, The Case Against Fluoride by Paul Conant and others.
Thank you, ma'am. That's your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Testing, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Linda Newland. There are other Linda Newlands out there, but I live at 2468 Dorrington Drive, Dallas, Texas. And I'm coming here today to speak about fluoride in water. I was here several years ago when the gentleman from somewhere came here to speak about fluoride. I just let it pass through my ears, but I have most recently done research. Most recently went to the dentist, and they asked me if I wanted fluoride treatment. I said, no, it's in the water. I said, and she said, well, you need fluoride. And I said, well, I think we're getting way too much. We get it in the air, we get it in the water, we get it in the food, because water is used to grow food. Fluoride is actually a medicine. Where did Dallas get approval to add medicine to our water? Really? The FDA has never approved fluoride. The fluoride that y'all put in the water is very toxic. It produces nutrient deficiencies. It can cause kidney diseases, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. And yes, fluoride does occur naturally, but you know what? So does arsenic. There's a lot of things that occur naturally that shouldn't be in our bodies. Some people drink lots of water, some don't. I personally go get my water filtered osmosisly so I can have pure water without the harmful fluoride. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people are not concerned about fluoride because the city decided to put it in their water. So they think it's all okay, but it's not. Fluoride should be removed from the water. If you don't remove it from the water, have each individual be tested with their amount of fluoride in their body, because the more they have in their body, the hazard is it can cause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, your next speaker is Peter Mundo.
Mayor Johnson, your cousin Vernon Mays asked me to say hello.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
And I'm here to ask you to take fluoride out of the drinking water. In the 60s and 70s, when all this was going on, it was, we'd gone to the moon, we had all this scientific project, you had a little radio you could put in your pocket. It was, people believed in science, and the marketing people of the 60s and 70s used this consciousness of the people to get a lot of things done that shouldn't have been done. They got us to
except they told us, science told us that the DDT was good for, wasn't dangerous, that asbestos wasn't dangerous, that lead and gas wasn't dangerous, and tobacco wasn't dangerous. They also, I'd like to remind you that back then, 8 out of 9 doctors smoked Camel cigarettes. And they did the same thing with fluoride. So if you want to read about how this came about, you can read The Fluoride Deception by Christopher Bryson. He explained how the aluminum industry, the uranium industry, the fertilizer industry needed to get rid of fluoride, and it certainly is easier to get somebody to pay for it than you having to pay them to take it away. But we're not talking about the marketing of the 60s and 70s right now. I'm giving you the latest science of 2020. The Journal of the American Medical Association, a preeminent pediatric journal, accepted a study that dotted all its I's and crossed all its T's. And this study shows a direct relationship between the amount of fluoride that is ingested by a pregnant woman and the future IQ of her baby. And this study, it considered the gender, the age of the mother, the number of siblings, the secondhand smoke. This study is a preeminent study, and it's giving a clear message to the American medical community that fluoride is troubled. It's saying, Houston, we have a problem. What I'm saying to you is I'm asking you to change the status quo. That's always difficult to do. Because, you know, if I tell you take it out of the water, you're going to have a lot of people coming to you and say, why are you changing my water? But this study, and there are dozens other studies, it gives you ammunition, and you can say, please review this study. If you have a problem with it, then I'm on your team. But if you can't find fault with this study, then please join my team and let's take the fluoride out of the water. Just a few facts to finish up. 3% of Europe is fluoridated, but their teeth aren't any worse than ours. 40%, and if you look at the adolescents today, 40% of them have some evidence of fluorosis. So I'm just asking you to please take the fluoride out of the water.
Thank you very much.
Sean Jones.
Sean Jones, Plano, Texas, 2901 Ridgeview Drive, apartment 718. I am currently the nominee for the Libertarian Party for District 67 for the State House of Representatives, which overlaps with District 12, Ms. Grayson's district. I'm here to talk about water fluoridation. Last month, I talked about individual rights and individual consent. This month, I'm going to talk about the Lancet Journal, one of the most well-respected medical journals in the world, 200 years old. In 2006, released numerous reports that fluoride causes cognitive disorders, exacerbates ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, and also exacerbates autism and Asperger's. In 2012, the Harvard School of Public Health, in conjunction with the Chinese Medical University of Shenyang, did 27 individual studies on water fluoridation. Across the board, categorically, every time it came up that fluoride reduces IQ. It causes cognitive disability, cognitive inability to grow and mature in children. The World Health Organization, in 2006, determined that fluoride causes dental and skeletal fluorosis. The fluoride accumulates in the bones. It creates stiffness. It creates aches and pains. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be. But I've got 3 very highly world-respected medical institutions that all say the same thing. Now, what they said in 1956 may have been true to the best of their understanding at the time. And it is true. Science changes. That's what's great about science. There is no absolutes. It evolves just like we do. My truth when I was 30 years old is not the same truth that I have at 40 years old. I think all of you can agree with that. We all evolve as human beings. New information is discovered. Whenever the medical community has something new come up, there is a code of ethics that generally checks and balances a lot of these things. In 1946, President Truman called the Nuremberg trials into order because there were a lot of strange things going on with human experimentation. Out of these, the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 45, Part 46, issued by the Department of Health and Human Services, adopted what's called the Nuremberg Ethics Codes. In these codes, and I won't read all of them, but there are 10 pretty short ones. Number 1, subject must consent voluntarily. Number 5, no risk or injury, disablement, or death must occur because of these. Number 6, the degree of risk cannot be greater than the importance of the problem. Number 9, subject has the right to stop the experiment at their time. Number 10, the people in charge must stop the experiment if they see untoward effect on the subject. Now, I've just given you a list of 3 major, very credible medical organizations that all say that out of those ethics codes that I listed, several of them are clear violations. Thank you, guys. Look forward to speaking to you next month.
4:02, we are now adjourned. We're now going to hear from our open microphone speakers. Madam City Secretary.
Thank you, and good morning. Peter Mundo.
Hi, my name's Peter Mondo, District 9. I've come for 2 reasons. One is to thank the council, the city of Dallas, for trying to protect me. The other reason is to ask the city of Dallas, the council, to stop trying to protect me. When I came into the building today, I had some water, had fluoride in it. When I go to Home Depot, the water has fluoride in it. If I go to my home, I thought I was protected, but water filters don't filter out fluoride because a fluoride molecule is the same size as a water molecule. If you filter out the fluoride, you filter out the water. You need an expensive reverse osmosis system to get rid of the fluoride. So I feel this way just because there's been a plethora of studies, many mainstream media studies just showing that fluoride is bad for you. It reduces your IQ, it's bad for your thyroid, bad for your bones. If you just walk around town and you see some of the kids out there, their teeth are mottled, that's fluorosis. In my own case, I started taking iodine and my headaches went away. But it turns out that fluoride is a halogen chemical just like fluoride, so your body, most people are low on fluoride unless you low on iodine unless you live near the coast. So if you're getting fluoride and you're low on, not only are you low on fluoride, but your body, it has to compete with the fluoride in the water. So there's actual chemical, your body actually uses fluoride as though it were iodine. So I'm just asking you to go through the studies and get rid of the fluoride. I think you act as though it's a mutually exclusive kind of problem. We either put it in or we don't. All you have to do, if people want fluoride, they just need to use fluoridated toothpaste. And and as opposed to non-fluoridated toothpaste, it's not mutually exclusive. So the idea is, and if you look on your tube of fluoridated toothpaste, it says if you swallow this stuff, you need to call a poison control center. It's on the back of every fluoridated toothpaste. So really, I think you guys are really not in a fair position. You're really being asked to be biochemists and make this decision. If you're going to vote yes, I'm going to take responsibility for putting fluoride in the water. I think you need to go through these studies, the recent studies that say that fluoride is just bad for you. In fluoridated counties, the IQ of kids is 5% lower than counties that are not fluoridated. So if you're going to vote for fluoride in the water, please review the literature. Thanks.
Hank Black.